Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking our first look through my vintage Return of the Jedi action figures. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so we'll start off with a bit of an update. So on my figures at the moment, my original Empire and Star Wars figures, I have a couple of Princess Leia blasters that I need to swap out. So I've got two black ones that actually need swapping for two later blue versions. And last time, you remember the TIE fighter pilot, he had a black gun and I need to swap that for the grey version. Now the only other progress I've made, so I am looking for a Han in Bespin outfit, because my existing figure has got quite faded trousers, and my Luke Bespin has also been quite badly faded. But I have made some progress, and I've got a new R5D4. Now this was one figure that I needed to completely replace, and as you'll see, it's a graded one. So I bought this one off one of the Facebook groups, and I thought, because I've been looking for, well, literally months to try and find a really nice R5D4, but they always seem to have something wrong with them. So this was a graded one. I mean, it's graded 80 on AFA's grading score. And this is the only graded figure I've got. However, I don't want it graded. Now, I got this one cheap, and the reason why is because you'll see at the bottom there, there's two like little plastic poles, as it were, that were supposed to, they stuck on the back here, and they were supposed to keep R5 rather, in position like that. And they just dropped off over time. Whether it was bad gluing or what, I honestly don't know, damaged in transit. But I knew they were broken, so I got this cheap because of it. But that also means that I feel quite confident. I don't feel any guilt at all about opening this one up now and just having that nice mint loose figure and swap it for my very, very diabolical faded one. So I haven't actually, I need to get my brother-in-law, he's got a Dremel tool, he'll be able to get into this, because they're really well tightly like packed in here and glued in. So I'm going to take it around his house. We're going to get the old bandsaw onto it and hopefully get R5D4 out in one piece, and then I'll be able to swap him out. So I'll show you that. I shall definitely film that process. When going through my loose vintage Star Wars collection, I noticed that my original R5D4 action figure had a faded sticker. It's been on display alongside my other figures for decades, and sadly the sticker on the front has faded. I found this graded replacement on a Facebook group. It was cheap because two small internal pegs inside the Perspex box had somehow become unglued and detached. They were loose and rattling around. I checked the AFA number on their website, and it stated that this figure was graded back in 2016, 6 years ago. How long it's been damaged is anyone's guess, but I just wanted the figure for my loose display. Now, getting into one of these was not easy. In the end, I asked my brother-in-law to use his mini saw to get it open. He's now back in the cabinet, looking very nice indeed. I wonder how many more graded figures are damaged in this way. If you want to know more, hit the subscribe button below. So the first proper figure we've got is this one, which is Admiral Ackbar. Now, I really like this figure, I really, really do, and I seem to recall that I got him first as a mail order. It was one of those ones where you could save the names off the Palatoy cards, send them into Palatoy HQ, and they would send it out in a little, like a little white mailer box. And I'm certain that that's how I got Admiral Ackbar. Now, one thing I should do as I go through these, I'm going to give them a little clean. So let me just grab my toothbrush. And it's not that these are particularly dirty, but all my figures have got a little layer of dust on. But generally, they have all been sort of cleaned historically. And this one's really nice, got really nice stiff limbs on him. Very nice indeed. Let's get him on a stand. Now he's got his like little pointer. It's not a gun, is it? It's like just a little stick. As he's directing the Imperial fleet. Let's get that in his hand. There we are, and that looks alright. Yeah, good little figure, that one. Don't mind Admiral Ackbar at all. Next one we got is not a particular favourite of mine, and that's Bib for Tuner. Now, he's got this little staff as well. So, I mean, you know, he was whispering in Jabba's ear, wasn't he? Sort of the interpreter. And this one's got a belt inside, so this is almost the start of seeing the Return of the Jedi figures becoming a little bit more elaborate. And certainly this one has got that belt on there. I don't really see the reason why, but and the cloth cape, as opposed to those old-fashioned plastic capes, they're gone now. And I suppose he wasn't a bad figure, but yeah, nothing special, not a classic. Unique staff, wasn't it? On Bib. Now, probably best just to slip that in his hand, like so. Looks a bit like Gandalf, like that, doesn't he? I think I'll have the staff a bit lower down. Maybe something like that. Would look a little bit better. Get him on a stand, because he doesn't stand up very well, this one. There we are. That's alright. Now I think what we'll do, I'm going to pause there, I'm going to get the camera down a little bit so we can have a better look at these. Okay, next one we've got is the Biker Scout. This is always a real favourite of mine. A real common figure, this one, but still nice to have him. Now this one, like a lot of the figures that I've got, like the Stormtroopers and that, the front like yellow torso, or the front torso has yellowed in this one. Compare that to, you know, that yellow to the white back. Now thankfully it's not too difficult a figure to get, and I might be tempted to bleach it, but I'm not really a fan of doing that, and I don't really want to do it. But maybe a bit of strategic bleaching on the front. Maybe, I don't know. I might try it on something less important, shall we say, than an original Star Wars figure. But I can understand why people do it, because this is a really nice figure, and it's just got a bit of sun bleaching for its 40 years. Apart from that, it's a beauty. Now this one once again had I think it's a unique gun. This one, the little speeder Biker Scout gun. But yeah, very, very cool design, that, wasn't it? Really, really good. Let's slip him on a stand. There he is. Does look great, doesn't he? Absolutely fantastic. Just need to get a slightly, I will make a note that I need to sort out the yellow centre on that one. And now we've got, inevitably, the first of the Ewoks, Chief Blimmin' Chirper. So this was another one which had a couple of pieces to it. So you got Chirper's hood, this rubber hood. I'm not going to take that off because it seems to be nice and solid. And he's got this this like staff here. And I suppose this is one of the very most common of the Ewoks to find. This one in low grey. Once again, in a funny sort of way, the middle torso is ever so slightly a different colour to his limbs. But I'm not too worried about it. I'm not going to bother replacing this one. Or even clean him up. But he looks okay. Yeah, he's alright like that. I'll pop him on a stand as well. And love them or hate them, they were certainly popular at the time. And certainly youngsters of a certain age enjoyed having the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. But I was never a fan, and I'm not really a fan today, but they are part of the Star Wars story. And although I never consciously bought any back in the day, I certainly wouldn't be without the Ewoks now, you know. So they are all part of the Star Wars, and for such reason we need to keep him in the collection. Now we've got the Emperor's Royal Guard, and he's a really great figure. This has actually got his gun in, his staff in position. I thought these looked really cool, to be honest, at the time. Sort of flanking the Emperor. And this one's got... Just brush the cape down a little bit. It's got a little bit of fluff on. Probably dust. Not a lot, just a little bit. There we are, a few little flecks coming off there. Apart from that, the figure underneath will be lovely and mint. A stonking figure, isn't it? But staff's a tiny bit bent at the top, but we won't hold it against him. I think I'll put it on a stand first and then put his staff in. Now while I'm doing this, I'm not sure if you saw the video I put out last on Star Wars a couple of weeks ago. That was looking at the bounty hunters. And I had my carded ones as well as my loose figures out, and they do look brilliant all together. So I am thinking of doing a similar sort of series to the one that I'm doing, but I'll just do it on the carded figures instead, which would be quite good. We'd go through those in chronological order as well, or like release order. There we are. That's cool, isn't it? Very, very nice figure indeed. So we put him next to the Ewok. So next we've got the Gamorian Guard. Now, I know that my Gamorian Guard is as mint as he comes. Now, the reason for that is because back in the day, when we had the shop, we had a whole case of Gamorian Guards. They were Kenner ones, and all the bubbles had yellowed. Even back then, this was back in the 90s. But we had, I think it was just over 100. And a couple of the cards were absolutely hammered. So I said, don't worry, I'll have those. And I just pulled this one straight off a card. So he's never been played with. It's as good as you're ever going to get. You can see, because usually the horns, the yellow on the horns get worn off first of all. But this is absolutely pristine. It's got an axe there as well. So I know that one's a real minter. But I was actually speaking to a friend of mine who back in the day got us that case of Gamorian Guards, and he actually told me that at the time he had about 8,000 of that one figure that he'd located in a single hit. I don't know exactly where. It's a warehouse find. Imagine that, 8,000. There we go. And looking at it like that, it's a miles better figure than I actually remember it being. I really like that one. I suppose because they've been in the Book of Boba Fett recently. I've got a soft spot for the Gamorrean Guard now, and I guess he'd be an easy one to be a focus collector on, wouldn't he? Brilliant. Now, from a pretty decent figure to one of the most boring, and that's General Madine. What is he like, eh? So, this particular figure, I thought, well, you know, it's a dead easy figure to get, so I'm not worried about this. But if you look, once again, the front of his chest has got tanned, and I can only put that down to some bleaching over the years. Not the end of the world. I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty easy fix, that one. And if not, I'm just going to go out and find another one. As I found very much, not to my horror, because I knew this is sort of the case, but with a lot of these figures, the weapons are far, far more valuable and harder to find than the actual figures. It's just crazy how it's gone, but you know, they were easily lost, weren't they? And that's why they're so expensive today. There we are. So that's Madine on a little stand. Now, once again, he's got his stick, because he's a general. He gets to point at people and give them orders. Try and slip that in there into his hand. Yeah, that's going to hold that all right, I think. So, Biker Scout and Madine are both going to need a little bit of treatment, possibly tidy them up, try and treat that some fading. But if not, I'm just going to track down replacement figures if I can. Next one we got is Klaatu. So Klaatu, well, he was one of the ones in the on the skiff guard, and he was in Jabba's throne palace, wasn't he? Throne room. And this was always the sort of the dog of the collection, wasn't it? It was, you get a collection, and this one would be the one that, if you've ever found the figures in stores at the end of Star Wars' run, this was always the figure that was discounted down to like 99p. Interestingly, I noticed mine is it's got a tiny bit of wear on the back of his boots there, which I'm surprised at because I would have had literally hundreds of these through my hands. But he's not a difficult figure to get. I'm not going to even attempt to upgrade it because I'm more than happy with that one. Such as he is, the limbs do seem quite stiff. Not a figure I ever sort of played with as a kid. And the thing was, around the time of Return of the Jedi, I was 13 getting on 14. And at that time, we'd had a 3-year gap from Empire Strikes Back getting released rather. So I'd had a long time to get into other things, and I never lost my love of Star Wars. But it definitely waned a bit. And I think when Return of the Jedi stuff started to come out, we had the comic, and they relaunched the British Weekly, because it had gone monthly for a little while because there was just no new material. So they launched a new Return of the Jedi Weekly in the UK, and that was pretty good, and that had a few free gifts on it, a free badge in issue 1, and all really cool photo covers, which was fantastic. And I read the comic book adaptation, and I read the novelization as well, and that sort of sparked my interest again in Star Wars. But up to that point, we'd had a few diversions around the time of Empire Strikes Back. Doctor Who was particularly good, Tom Baker leading into the Peter Davison stories. We had Disney's Black Hole and Tron. There was lots of other sci-fi stuff around, Battlestar Galactica. We had Blake 7. There was lots of it, and for that reason alone, Star Wars and Return of the Jedi, it was just another thing on the agenda, as it were. But when it came out, it hit in a big way, and I was straight back into it again. But I do remember, buying these here. There was a few, like the Ewoks, I did just steer completely clear of. I just didn't want them, I guess I was at that age. Anyway, last figure we've got is Lando Calrissian in Skiff Guard disguise. Now this one got a helmet. I think this is the first time we've seen a removable helmet in the line. And he's got the Skiff Guard axe or whatever it is. Now, the figure-wise, he seems quite nice, quite stiff limbs on that one. But he's going to need a bit of a dust-off. He has, after all, been in the desert. No visible paint discoloration of any sort, which is good news. Yeah, he stands up all right, doesn't he? Now, I always have him with the helmet on, because I think it is a really nicely designed helmet. Nice and tight on him, like that. There we are, just see his eyes through it. That's cool. Now I'll pop him on the stand next. There we are. Great, looking good. Get him to hold his staff here, like so. So he blends in. There we are. Cool as you like. Lovely. Let's pop him over there next to Klaatu. And here we have one last look at the collection as it stands right now. All in the display case, looking better and better by the day. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed looking through those first batch of figures from my Return of the Jedi line. I certainly love them. They certainly brought back a lot of memories there, and it's difficult to know which one's my favourite. I'm thinking Admiral Ackbar, the Biker Scout, and actually the Gamorian Guard. I think they're the standouts for me from that little batch of 9 figures. So if you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it the thumbs up. Do please hit the subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage Star Wars content. And I'm going to look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.